Alright guys, it's time to... I feel like all the noises have to be explained. The dog's eating a treat. So, there you go. I felt like I had to explain that hearing these chewing noises in the background. So, okay, so anyway, for this video, I'm going to defy gravity and review Wicked. This is not a movie I expected to review. It's also a movie I didn't expect to really enjoy, but I did. So let's sort of get into it. So for this movie, I'm not going to compare to the book or to the Broadway musical, even though I know that's what this is based on, only because I didn't read the book and I didn't see the musical. So I can't really compare this to the other versions of the story, but I can compare it to other movies that have a similar theme. So to state the obvious, this is obviously, the story is a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. That movie I have seen, so I am familiar with the story. I know what happens to the Wicked Witch. I really enjoyed the first one, and so the fact that they were making a prequel and it was a musical as well, it intrigued me. I was skeptical, not because of the cast or the design. I was skeptical because I wasn't sure this movie was necessary. If it already had a book and it already had a Broadway performance, then I struggled to find why this was necessary, and here's why. So obviously I'll dive into it a little bit more, but in this movie, Elphaba is a character that I think a lot of people can relate to for a couple different reasons. But at the end of the day, whether you relate to her or not, whether you see yourself in her or not, whether she had good acting or great singing or didn't, the character is a villain. And now it is a prequel showing the origin where we see her in a different light, so it's kind of explaining why she's the victim. So we've had several movies like that. It's just in the recent years where they go back and make the villain a good guy after all. Marvel's done it, DC has done it, even Star Wars has done it, and especially Disney has done it. So there are a few times where it can be successful, but it's almost becoming exhausting. So that's why I was skeptical of this one, just because I didn't really have an interest in seeing another villain become the good guy all of a sudden. The most recent movie trailer, Mufasa, the Lion King, we see Scar is in the movie, but he seems like a nice guy in the beginning, even though we see what he does later. So I feel like even though he's not the main character in this upcoming movie, we'll get another origin for him as well. So that's why I was skeptical. Now, that aside, going into this movie, I didn't have a lot of expectations. Not because I didn't have an interest in the character of the story. I'll just be honest. I saw the original one, thought the original movie was great, and I didn't think it really needed a prequel. Even though the book and musical have already existed, I didn't really know if the movie was necessary. But at the end of the day, it's making money. A lot of people are enjoying it, so it looks like it was a hit after all. So we get little tidbits of information from Elphaba. She is the one we get the origin for. Ariana Grande plays Glinda, and she is already in her adulthood when we see her. Elphaba we see as an infant, and then as a child, and then as an adult. So we sort of get to see her progression of how she's treated as a baby and a child and an adult. So we get an extensive background for her character, whereas Glinda is just sort of, she's thrown in after the first, I would say, like 20 minutes in the main story. The movie opens how Wizard of Oz left off, which I thought was interesting. So we get a couple of scenes with her, but then it goes back to the beginning where the story of Wicked generally takes place. And so to sort of skim through some of the beginning, we get her origin. She wasn't wanted as a baby, she wasn't respected as a child, and she's treated like crap as an adult. And so, as an audience, we are expected to relate to her because a lot of us do, for a couple different reasons. And it's obvious, and it's working. As far as Glinda is concerned, I wasn't prepared for the character to be so unlikable. Of course, she comes around in the end, but she takes a while to get there, and I was surprised that it was going to take so long to get to that point. So I wasn't prepared to see Ariana Grande in such an unlikable role for a while. Now her performance is great, don't get me wrong, but the character she plays, I just didn't know anything about the character because I didn't read the book or see the musical. So I thought they had enough subplots to keep your interest for a couple different reasons. We see Glinda is this it girl, the popular one, the one with all the dresses. So you got people that can relate to her. You got people that can relate to Elphaba, being sort of the underdog in multiple different reasons. And then you have the whole side story of the animals. They're losing their self of being, I guess, in this movie, in their speech, and they're becoming more animalistic. And so that was another side story. And you get enough where it's enough to sort of not be so focused on one particular story. And there are enough characters to sort of span your interest instead of just two characters. So that part I thought was really cool. And obviously the acting was really good. The singing was really good. The set design, the sets for the musical aspects I thought were really well done. It was entertaining. Music was good. It was fun. It was a fun movie. And when you get to the plot, I thought it was interesting. Some musicals have song as sort of this random sequence thrown in there. And then some, where it's really done right, can sort of lead the story from one point to another. And that's what this one did, so I appreciated that. It didn't leave you stuck from 5 minutes ago until you have to wait for the song to be over to then get back to the story. So that wasn't the case, so I was glad. And as we're getting sort of toward the last part of the movie, when they're meeting the wizard, we already know he's a fake. If you saw The Wizard of Oz, you know he's a fake. And so, that interaction's interesting. And obviously, Elphaba is now one of the most powerful beings in this Wizard of Oz verse, if you will. And so that's sort of why she's viewed as the Wicked Witch, is because people are scared of power. And so the final performance with her song, with her sort of almost, not redemption, but this is the moment where you start to feel sorry for her and really root for her, which it was a big thematic ending. So I thought it was really well done. I thought the movie was pretty good, but then the thing is, it's part one. So I thought the end of the movie kind of connected enough to Wizard of Oz. I didn't need another one, but apparently there's more to play, so there will be a Wicked part 2. So I don't know the story, so I'll be surprised with how they handle it and what happens, even though most people probably already know the story. So overall, it was an entertaining film. There wasn't really a lot of negative thoughts about the movie I had. It was just being in the pile of villains with an origin. For me personally, I see this being a movie I'm going to forget about in a couple of years. But who knows? The second one could really surprise me. Like I said, this one was enjoyable. It's a fun time. The music was good. So here's hoping the second one is just as good. All right, thanks for watching, guys. See you all next time.